Alright, so I'm back. I wanted to take a quick gander at the actual mage in 7.1. So there's been quite a few changes that have been ongoing for the mage, and lately with this patch we noticed that there was a lot of increases to the damage done for our spells. However, the mana cost for our Arcane Blast went from 100% increase per charge up to 125% per charge. And I found that that definitely is modifying some playstyle alternatives. Personally, as myself goes, I'm not a huge fan of Arcane Familiar. I'm not a huge fan of, a lot of these commonplace items. Things like Ice Flows has never really been my thing. Personally, in most cases, I'm able to plant myself down and stick to my guns and then only move when really necessary, and it typically doesn't interrupt much that I'm doing. Now, with what just changed, I feel like I'm definitely going to have to kind of cater to these different talents I may not be infatuated with. One that I didn't mention was Nether Tempest, something that personally I feel like, if I wanted to track dots, I would have gone to Fire. Now, granted, this is not, Fire as a current. In the past, I've always felt like Fire was big on tracking the dots. Given Legion, Fire is not really that much of a dot tracker anymore. But, quite frankly, if I want to track dots, in my mind, it's like, I could have been Fire, or I could have gone and been a Warlock. So, Nether Tempest has never really been my thing, because it is a global cooldown that I have to expend to go ahead and just put a dot back on every 12 seconds. And yeah, Haste goes ahead and increases that, the tick factor, but it's one of those ones, personally, I'm not a fan of it. So what I've chosen to do here is I just did a quick little review. I did 2 segments. They're both about 4 minutes on average. I think the first one's like 3 minutes 50 seconds. The second attempt is about 4 minutes. What I did, I just quickly showed what my setup is. Pretty much I showed what I'm looking at as far as stats go, because I do realize I think I missed that in the first video I did. But I'm sitting about 14 crit, about 9% haste. I think my mastery is about 55%, and my versatility is at 5. So I feel like that's a moderate way of looking at the Arcane Mage. Granted, I know there are some people are probably going to say, like, hey, you got to get one stat higher than the other, maybe not as much mastery, maybe more versatility, maybe more crit. This is just how I built my character and how I'm playing it. I'm always open to suggestions. If somebody else has a better opinion on it, by all means, I'm open to it. I do go over real fast just to show that I do have some legendary boots, but they're not really built for Arcane. I also show what my item level is. I'm an 858 overall, but I'm like an 852, I think it is, for my equipped. And that's just because I've found that there are so many other items that, yeah, would boost my item level, but I would lose all my mastery or all my crit or all my versatility off of it. So it's like, I'd rather just take the item level loss, eat a little bit of the intel loss with that, in favor of having a better output as far as, mastery and whatnot. Granted, if it's something like, like a 40 item level difference, I'm probably going to go with the higher item level, just because that much intel is going to be too much to pass up. But, that's just how I've been playing. Again, as I said, if somebody else has got a better opinion on that, by all means, I'm all ears. I also go over real quickly my talent choices that I chose for my actual artifact weapon. I wanted to show the path that I took, so I just kind of mouse over the path that I went to get to my first talent, and then I go over to where I went to my second, and then where I'm going for my third. That way people can see what I'm doing there. I didn't show my talents, but basically it's one of those ones. I am running with, personally I run with Words of Power, Shimmer, Rune of Power, Supernova, Ice Ward, Erosion, and Quickening. In this, what I do is I swap out to Arcane Familiar and Nether Tempest, just to see how that plays. And then I keep Arcane Familiar because right now I really do feel like it's going to be more valuable due to the high increase in mana cost for Arcane Blast, so I'm probably going to end up sticking to that instead of going back towards power. But I do show what the difference is between Erosion and Nether Tempest the way I play the character. So hopefully that goes ahead and gives an idea of where things stand. As I said, I try to do the opening as best I can. I know that I mess up a couple of times throughout these. I know in my first run there, I end up botching my mana because, ding, I'm a genius, and I totally lost track of it because I'm too busy focusing on the other cooldowns. Again, that's one thing that I don't like about having all these extra buttons. Like, I was fine with it being like a, 3-button wonder. But having all these extra little cooldowns and stuff, it kind of throws me for a loop sometimes. And I think it just goes to show, with the Arcane Mage, if you miss your rotation and you screw it up, you really do get penalized pretty hard, and it's difficult to come out of that. Now, I do use a mana potion in both of these to keep it kind of even. I wanted to show that, first off, because I know some people don't even realize it, it doesn't share a cooldown with healing potions anymore. But it does share a cooldown with something like Deadly Grace. So it's something to keep in mind. I have both of them on my being at all times, just in case I have to use them. Pretty much I use the mana potion when I need to get myself out of a rut, use the Deadly Grace if I can before the actual pull. That way at least I have an option for either or later on down the line. But typically it's your average opening, it's Mark of Eluneth, it's Rune of Power, Arcane Power. If you do it right, I know you can cast Rune of Power, Mark of Eluneth, and then Arcane Power in sequence, and still have the Mark of Eluneth catch the explosion within the Rune of Power. But granted, that's something that, it's a little bit risky there, because if you mess that up by even a split second, you're going to have it go off without the Rune of Power underneath it. But other than that, it's pretty much I'm just kind of pouring things in there. I'm trying to keep an eye on my Nether Tempest to make sure that's going off properly. There are some points where I get touch of the Magi, but I just don't have the right lineup to dump into it, so I just keep on my Arcane Blasts. Typically, the goal for that, from what I've seen, as many Arcane Missiles as you can, so preferably it would be 3 Arcane Missiles, followed up by a Instacast Supernova. Okay, now if you do it right and you pick up that, hey, I just got touch of the Magi, you have all 3 of them running, bingo, you can dump all 3 of them in there and then get that Supernova off in that last split second. But you gotta be fast on it. The best scenario would be if you have Rune of Power down, Arcane Power, 3 stacks, and the touch of the Magi procs. Because then you can really dump into it. I've only had that a couple of times in my experience here, so I don't bank on that. It also works out best if those things proc the extra 33% chance for the 3 extra missiles. But I digress. This is just a quick little view of what I've been doing. I recorded this, and I came back to record audio. Let me know what you guys think. I know with the mess up, the damage was slightly better on the first attempt with the Nether Tempest and the actual Arcane Familiar, whereas the second attempt, I don't feel I messed up as bad. And with that, I know that, I was doing a little bit, I was doing what I should be doing. I don't think I messed that one up too bad. So in turn, the damage was definitely lower. And I feel like since this change went in, it's a little harder for me to maintain my quickening stacks as well. So it's one of those ones. I've got some other tactics I want to try, but I want to see what the community has to say first. It's only been, just a couple of hours since, everything went back live and stuff. So what I'll do is I'm going to browse the Alter Time forums. That's where I've been kind of hanging out lately. I do swing by and check the comments here every so often. I just, unfortunately, lead a bit of a busy life, so I don't get a chance to check it all too often. But I try to reply when I can. But as I said, overall, this is just a, what's kind of going on with 7.1. I feel like there is a bit of a damage loss, and I feel like it doesn't cater to the gear that's currently available. I feel like once we get into Trial of Valor, maybe that gear will help offset it. But like others, I'm starting to believe that until we get to that night hold and start getting a hold of those sets, or if we get lucky and get ourselves some nice legendaries like the bracers and whatnot. I feel like until we get those things, we're going to be a little bit behind. So we're struggling. And as I said, and I can't stress it enough, Arcane, in the end, it really feels like you need to play that class right. If you get into a raid and you're preoccupied with something else going on, you miss your rotation proper, you're going to go ahead and be struggling to catch back up. And as I said, you can see that in my first attempt here. I got down to like 30% mana, and I didn't mean to. I meant to stop around 50, 60. And I couldn't get out of it. I didn't have a mana potion available because I had used it earlier, and that's what I'm talking about. Once you get into that rut, it's very difficult to dig yourself out of it. So, yeah, I'm going to end here as far as the talking goes. I'll just let the video go the rest of the way. If I've talked longer than the video, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I mean, let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to me. I'm all ears. I will have in the description my battle tag, so I've had plenty of people come ahead and reach out to me. Let's get some conversation going. Let's see if we can figure out this Arcane Mage and make this thing as good as it used to be. It used to be a fantastic top-of-the-line DPS class. Now I just feel like it's so meticulous and stuff I just don't like, but I really want to make this work. So, anywho, thank you guys for listening and, watching and everything like that. I appreciate it. And, until next time, be good.